Flight to the finish. With the Equestria Games approaching, Miss Harshwinny comes to Ponyville to make funny faces, much to the delight of the children. Then Rainbow does a funny walk, and we have our first talking point, the song. Most agree that musically it was good. I actually thought it was great, but that's because I like stompy acoustic songs. It seems to be the lyrics that everyone was kinda apathetic about. Dr. Wolf says they were a little repetitive for his liking, and really so did everybody else. I don't actually think having repetitive lyrics are inherently bad though. But that isn't the point. The point is that people found it to be repetitive because the line, "Hearts as strong as horses," was repeated 4 times in a row, and there could have easily been a few different lines like, "We won't stop until we reach our goal," or "We may be just little ponies." It would fix the repetitiveness of the song without changing the meaning. Biter, in his written review, said, "The song had little to do with the narrative at hand. The CMC are told they have a competition, they sing about the fact that they're confident, and then through the harsh training montage of climbing upstairs, biting string, and kicking defenseless bags without sufficient moisturization, they end up with a kick-ass routine." His point being that the song didn't tie into the main thread of the story, that being the flag-carrying competition, which was literally just introduced. And I guess he has a point. I mean, the stuff they do in the song has no real correlation to their performance afterwards. It's just a generic training montage. It's mostly a pointless song, a nice fun little ditty that sets up the themes of the episode. The only problem there is that in a 22-minute episode, a pointless but fun song eats up precious storytelling time. But that's enough about the song. Now we get on to the focus of the episode, which I'm glad to see has nothing to do with getting cutie marks. A&Y expressed his delight at this, and was relieved to see that the CMC are finally developing. Hopefully CMC-focused episodes from now on will be about other things aside from the 3 of them attempting to get cutie marks in brain surgery or what have you. I expect them to bring up cutie marks again, but as long as it isn't the main focus of every single CMC episode, I'll be happy. Anyway, Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon spew their old blank flank insults, but it seems the CMC are now highly resistant. Dr. Wolf said it would feel repetitive if they were still getting upset by that, so it's a good change, and it shows that they're maturing. But it makes it all the more strange for Scootaloo to be instantly swayed by their words about her flightlessness later. As Biter says, the fact that Scootaloo trusts their authority on what Miss Harshwinny would like, despite earlier easily recognizing their malicious intent, feels a touch out of character, though she could easily just have been too shocked and upset to be thinking straight. Applebloom and Sweetie Belle were perfectly level-headed and told Scootaloo she didn't need to fly in order to win. If she was so upset by their words that she wouldn't even listen to her best friends, then maybe making fun of her flightlessness cuts much deeper than anybody thought. Which raises the question of why it's never been brought up before, especially by Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon as a means of controlling Scootaloo. Just a minor point, but did anybody else see this bit here and hope that the dynamic between the 2 groups was changed from bullies to rivals? I'd like to see an episode where that happens. Maybe Diamond Tiara learns a lesson about friendly rivalry being more fulfilling than bullying, and in the process inadvertently helps one of the CMC get their cutie mark. Well, that would be so cool! Now we get on to an interesting topic, the place of disabled ponies in Equestria. T-Bub-Bap and Digicurious say we pretty much know now that Scootaloo is disabled, in that she can't fly. Now that we know that as an audience, every time prior to this we can tell that when ponies talk to Scootaloo, assuming they knew she was different, and we can gather that because Diamond Tiara apparently knows at what age a Pegasus should be able to fly, making Scootaloo out to be an unusual case, they never brought it up or treated her differently, showing that equestrians as a whole don't talk down to disabled ponies, and that's awesome. I'll talk more about disability in Equestria when I get to the part when Rainbow Dash presents Scootaloo with the moral. For now, we have the breakup of the CMC. Master Code 77 says the breakup at the train station feels forced, as we've not really seen the CMC get this angry at each other before. He feels that Applebloom and Sweetie Belle should have been more supportive because they were there when Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon made fun of her. They should know how upset she was. They could at least have been a bit reluctant to separate. Well, Dr. Wolf thinks there was certainly enough build-up from earlier scenes highlighting the frustration of Applebloom and Sweetie Belle for the split in the group to seem natural, but it could easily have been jarring if not for those scenes. Voice of Reason adds to this point, by reminding us that the CMC are still just kids. Kids can get worked up over little things, such as sleep deprivation, and fall out at the tip of a hat, and just as easily get back together again, after they've cooled off. Although it's a little strange to see that at a time like this, where they were about to perform together in the Crystal Empire, that they would have such an argument and go their separate ways, when something of this magnitude hasn't happened between the 3 of them. This got me thinking about something. The 3 of them became friends because they all had blank flanks, and because of the bullying from Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon, they were ashamed, so they felt like they were outcasts. This would mean their friendship is completely based off of fear of not being accepted, which is why they've continually been trying desperately to get their cutie marks. But in this episode we can see that their fear of being a blank flank isn't so much of an issue anymore. If this was a typical CMC episode, it would begin with them talking about trying to do well in the flag waving in order to get their cutie mark. But this time it doesn't even cross their mind until Diamond Tiara and Silver Spring bring it up. So it would seem to be more than a coincidence that they had a big argument in the very same episode we find their anxiety over their blank flankedness is almost completely diminished. Does this mean in the future, perhaps after they get their cutie marks, they'll start drifting apart? Their fear of being an outcast will be gone, their flank will no longer be blank, they'll feel like they can make friends with other ponies. It would certainly be an interesting development if it turns out one of the three had always assumed they would stop being friends when they got their cutie mark. I can see that being an interesting episode as well. Anyway, moving back to the discussion of disability and Rainbow Dash's moral to Scootaloo. Now earlier I said we pretty much know she's disabled, and for all intents and purposes she is. She can't fly now, and I doubt she'll fly, within this season at least. But there's no definitive proof that confirms this. Scootaloo, one day, could fly with her own wings. The concept was left open for interpretation. Mlp Analysis has a problem here. He says that they shouldn't have left it open. He was enjoying the episode up until they failed to choose a side of the fence. He says with this we've missed the opportunity to have a confirmed disabled character in the show, which suggests to the optimists in the audience that eventually she will fly, just not right now. The thing is that hard work can't solve all of your problems. We have to remember kids do watch this show, and they do pick up on the morals. I mean, they're not idiots, just ignorant. They don't know stuff about the world yet. So when a child hears that maybe you can overcome your disability by working hard, it may send the wrong message. I half agree with this. I think they should have made it confirmed, although given the situation, I'm not sure that Rainbow would have enough medical knowledge to confirm such a thing. You'd need to introduce a hospital scene and a doctor pony with a professional opinion, which would have changed the episode's focus quite a bit. So I can accept in this scenario there would be no way to have proof really, but I don't think leaving it open ruined the episode. Prince Aligorna argues that it was handled great. He says that it doesn't matter if she can fly later or fly never. The moral of the story was that you shouldn't worry about what you can't do. You should be proud of what you can do. Scootaloo doesn't need to be defined by her disability. I do agree with this point. As it stands now, Scootaloo still can't fly. She's unable to fly. But she isn't technically able to be labelled as disabled because it's not confirmed to be permanent. And just because it may not technically be permanent doesn't mean the moral is weakened or that it sends the wrong message. Scootaloo can't fly. She may fly, but as far as she's concerned, she doesn't need to. Maybe she doesn't even want to anymore. If they refer back to this in a future episode and show that Scootaloo isn't faced by insults about her flightlessness, I'll be so happy. It'll be good. Now the end of the episode. The CMC get to the Crystal Empire and perform their flag wave, and it's all great and everyone's cheering with the yay and the woohoo and such. One thing I don't really understand about all this is the reason for them coming to the Crystal Empire. I mean, they have an arena packed with ponies, who presumably had to pay an entrance fee to watch a bunch of fillies from another town compete to wave the flag in the Equestria Games, which as far as I know isn't held in the next episode, so all the fillies would have to go home after this. What sort of show is that? I guess they're holding the competition for all the other towns like Manhattan and Cloudsdale and stuff, so they probably have more to watch, but I can't see it being interesting enough to fill a stadium. What's more questionable is that they had to go to the Crystal Empire at all. Miss Harshwinny is the sole judge as far as we can tell, and she went all the way to Ponyville to announce the competition. Why not hold the competition in Ponyville? Why have all the fillies travel to the Crystal Empire to perform if not for it to be the real thing? Why did... Actually, now that I think about it, Miss Harshwinny would have to travel to all competing towns and announce the flag-waving competition to the fillies, so she would be travelling a lot, which means she couldn't stick around, and most likely each town would need a few weeks to get ready to perform, so the easiest way to judge all the participants is to have them converge on the Crystal Empire, so that Miss Harshwinny doesn't have to go travelling around again, and the fillies that don't win get a chance to perform in front of an audience anyway, and the winner will have had practice performing in a full stadium, which would be handy experience to have, so as to make sure they don't get stage fright for the actual thing. What the hell am I doing? I just delved deep into something I noticed in the background and I debunked it all immediately. I should probably cut this out, but I lost my scissors. Then Scootaloo says this.
We are totally gonna get cutie marks in flag carrying!
This is an issue for some people. Soggy Meepster says that it would have been the perfect time for her to receive her cutie mark. She had the moment of realization that she doesn't need to be like Rainbow Dash in order to be special, and the moment of proving herself when she scooted all the way to the Crystal Empire with 2 other fillies in tow, in time to perform and with enough energy to perform well enough to win. Travelling to the Crystal Empire on scooter is an impressive feat, especially when there's presumably a time limit and that they're racing a train. If she was going to get her cutie mark at some point, it would be when she does something amazing regarding scooting like this. Digibrony says that this actually paves the way for an episode for Scootaloo to get her cutie mark, and that this is just part 1 of an unintentional 2-parter, because she now knows, thanks to Rainbow's guidance, that she just needs to be herself, and not to be worried about her shortcomings. I guess if one of the CMC was going to get her cutie mark in an episode, it would be better to have it in the middle, not at the end. If it happened at the end here, I think we'd all be excited, but we'd also be wanting more. What do the other 2 think? How does this change the dynamic of the group? But we wouldn't get more, at least not for a while, because the next episode is about the dressing up or something. Subscribe for more. I feel I should mention that when I quote or paraphrase someone, I'm not summing up their entire opinion of the episode. If you want to know what they thought in more depth, go check out their videos that I'll provide links for. Also, if you're making analysis or reviews on the episodes, make sure you post them to the Mlp Analysis subreddit created by Digibrony. I'll put a link to his video explaining how to do that if you don't know already. He also talks about how to use Reddit in general, so that's kind of useful. If you put your video or blog post there, I will watch/read it, and if I think you have an interesting point, I'll include it in my video. Bear in mind that I, for now, have other things to be working on. I don't want to be spending all week collecting opinions from people, so I generally stop adding them into my video by the end of Tuesday. That's not to say you should rush your work. There's no point being the first one to upload a video if the quality suffers as a result. Anyway, I'll see you on the next video.